London. Welcome everybody to the final day of the ECS Season 1 CSGO Finals. 8 of the best teams from all over the world came to London to compete for their share of $750,000, and now we are left with just 4. At the end of the day, one team will be crowned the first ECS champion ever, and you can keep up with all this action and more at csgoleague.com to keep up with your favorite teams and their scorelines. Now, guiding us through the day is a long-time Counter-Strike veteran. Sir Scoots, take it away.
Thank you very much, Smix. You are too kind. I think she kind of called me old there, but I'm going to go ahead and take that as a compliment.
I mean, that's as close to a burn as Smix can get.
Exactly.
You know? She's just too nice.
Too sweet. She's learning, though. She is learning. All right, gentlemen. Obviously, I am Sir Scoots. Thank you, Smix, but I'm going to do this alone. I just sit here and do the easy work. The two experts next to me, Yanko, Florin. Gentlemen, good morning. How are you? Final day.
Yeah, I'm super excited for this. I mean, we've had some upsets at the tournament, most notably TSM making it all the way to the semifinals. And the first game of the day, Scott, it's a true barn burner.
I see what today's going to be like already.
Yeah.
How are you doing,
I mean, I'm also very excited. And the thing is, I'm very excited for the final, because if I get it my way, it's going to be Luminosity versus Fnatic.
Yeah, I think, you know, again, no offense to the other two teams, but I think a lot of us want to see this rivalry hit because, again, Fnatic lost their title due to Olof's injuries, not necessarily that roster losing games, but the new roster, so to speak. And then Luminosity streaked their way all the way up. No offense to them, but now Fnatic definitely wants that title back. They got Olof back, so we'll see, but we got to get through this one first. Yeah. So let's kind of bring you guys up to speed, kind of show you how we got here. We'll start with the schedule, show you what's happening today. Obviously, 2 semifinals and a final today, all best of 3s. First off, obviously, we're going to do G2 taking on Fnatic, obviously. Then, again, the upset masters, TSM, on fire. A lot of people are saying, are they going to be the new #1 team in North America, taking on the #1 team in the world, Luminosity. And then, obviously, the winners will play in our grand final. And then let's kind of catch you up to speed. If you're just tuning in for the first day or haven't really paid much attention, let's kind of show you the brackets and how we got here. So starting with Group A, and again, they were GSL style, basically small little double elimination brackets. So Luminosity qualified right away into today. And then you can see G2 had to come out of the lower bracket. And there they are. Again, see all the scores. Didn't work out too well, unfortunately, for Liquid. Or another upset, I guess, would be NiP not making it to today.
Actually, first time in the history of the team that they drop out of a tournament without winning a single map even.
No, I was actually looking at that. We're obviously going to go into Group B as well, but we have another team, and I think that's very similar to two teams that you were expecting coming into the playoffs and just ended up not winning a single map, not a single game. Actually, Australia's won one, but yeah, very strange this tournament so far, especially if you consider, I mean, if you look at the other group that we're going to go into, TSM, for example, you were saying, yeah, they want to take over the world, right? The way they've been playing, especially just one player, which is their superstar, Sick, just been amazing throughout this tournament.
Yeah, and again, TSM, we'll talk about them in depth, but like one thing we noticed yesterday, we talked about a lot of the post games, and then I was looking at my stats this morning, 7 out of 8 pistol rounds. And they only lost one. The one they did lose was Astralis. And again, back in the old 1.6, that's almost guaranteed game winning if you win both sides. Again, a little different with this version of the game with the second round buys and how much more powerful they are. But that is still amazing because those pistols also translate to when you're on some sort of save round. So again, great stuff with SmithZz's crew.
Definitely, it's not just about winning pistols. I think that probably every time they won the pistol round, they managed to convert it into a 3-0 lead, or at least a 2-0 lead, which is something that, against the likes of, let's say, teams like Fnatic, they're really proficient at those second round force buys. So good stuff from TSM, definitely.
Yeah, and let's talk about the group they were in. Again, Fnatic did the exact same thing as Luminosity. They won their matches and they got right out, so they didn't even play yesterday. Again, a little harder for Team Solo Mid, but again, they took down Astralis, and then again, they took down Cloud9. And again, the great matchup when they did in fact play Fnatic. Again, played them very close. And again, you see how they both come out. And then again, that sets us up for our day today in the bracket for today, which again, 2 semifinals and the final. And again, over $1 million overall in prize purse, as well as revenue share for the teams and the players and all that kind of crazy stuff. So a lot of money on the line. Obviously, also the prestige of being the first ECS title holder with the big trophy. And you can see what we're doing today. Obviously, we're starting out with Fnatic G2. We will then do TSM Luminosity. And again, grand finals. So let's talk about today, and let's kind of your initial thoughts on how we got today. Now we've seen all the brackets, seen all the runs. Just kind of over the last 2 days.
No, I mean, if you look at the first game that we have Fnatic versus G2, and Fnatic obviously got a quick 2-0. Even though they were close, they're both versus the North American teams, Cloud9 and TSM, and they are winning that, so they had the day off yesterday. And then for G2's part, yeah, sure, they had to battle their way, right? Losing the first game of the day on day one, and then going back, beating NIP 2-0. And I mean in a dominant fashion, even on NIP's best map on Cash 16-4, and then moving on to their map pick, just 2, 16-10, so just very dominant. And then the second map as well, just, yeah, it was a little bit closer, but you know, G2's here to play, and if you compare that to how they used to be in the start of the year, even before when Existence was around, and they got this new revamped roster with shox in the reins, they are looking a lot better.
All right, well, let's take a look at these two teams. Our first two teams today obviously are G2 and Fnatic. Let's take a peek.
shox and Scream. They're the two players that drive that team forward, shox in particular, because they mostly go for simple execute, simple strats that revolve basically around him making space and then his team capitalizing on it. Fnatic just play their own game. They're so amazingly good at playing off of each other. They just crush you in the end or win close games, and they can make it work so well since it's all 5 players doing it.
Time for our first semifinal match of the day, and it'll be France versus Sweden. The French team is looking better than ever with their powerful duo shox and Scream, and they are coming off of a hot grand finals finish just from 1 month ago here in London. Facing them are the Swedish Titans that were the undisputed best team in the world, and they are looking to reclaim that title with olofmeister back in the roster. Please welcome on stage, it is G2 and Fnatic.
All right, let's get into the Score pregame report. Obviously brought by the Score Esports, a fantastic app where you can get all your latest esports stats, scores, updates, not only for the ECS, not only for Counter-Strike Global Offensive, but all sorts of esports. So definitely check them out. Gentlemen, let's get into it. Let's start talking about their rosters right away. Again, it's maybe cliche to say, but a team that needs no introduction. Let's talk about Fnatic first, starting with you, Janko.
Right, so the team that has, Sue put it nicely, the undisputed best team in the world. Until olofmeister had his wrist injury, he had to take some time off, and that's where Luminosity stepped in to become the best team in the world. This team is just, you know, any player can step up at any time, basically. I'm so sick of talking about them because they're just so individually good, and the type of synergy and team play they have, it just looks so simple when they execute it. It really looks easy when you watch them play, but it's actually so hard to master because you really need to have incredible communication, and everyone, even if it's not just, you know, talking a lot, it's that they know what to expect from their teammates, and it's just beautiful to see them play when they're on point.
Yeah, compare, if you look at Fnatic once olofmeister, you know, got his injury and they brought in these new players, and then he was gone for a while, and then coming back, it was during E-League he announced his comeback. It was like he was never gone. It's just like they just meld so well together, and they play well together. And for olofmeister, you know, as he was talking about as well, it's like, oh, I really haven't been playing that much Counter-Strike. To be fair, it looked like you've been playing Counter-Strike every single day. Yeah. So it looks like they actually haven't really lost that much in him being away.
And they definitely have the fire in them to get that title back. I mean, when I was talking to them the lobby a couple times over the weekend. You know, I'm like, hey, what do you think about Luminosity having your spot? And they're like, no, it's our spot. They did not beat us to get that spot. They beat the org with a different player. Our main man is back. Now let's see. You know, so again, they obviously want to play Luminosity later on today.
Definitely, they feel like it's been, you know, they've been stripped of their title.
Exactly.
In a sense, Luminosity being the so-called interim champion, while olofmeister was away. Now they're back in the same weight category, to use the
exactly.
fighting analogy. So it's going to be interesting to see if they actually get to meet them in the grand finals. It's definitely going to be an awesome game.
Yeah, and again, like we're talking ahead of ourselves. They obviously have to beat the next team we're going to talk about. They have to beat G2 Esports. So Robin, why don't you start off and walk us through these guys?
Yeah, I mean, the two guys that we always talk about is Scream and shox, and both of these two players have had a great tournament so far. Scream, I think, has had the tournament of his life. RpK has also stepped out of play to the plate pretty much every single game, and then the two guys that you rarely talk about too much is obviously the new player bodyy and also SmithZz, which is their main opper. But it always fall back to, as we always say, if shox has a good game and if Scream has a good game, chances are they have a very high possibility of winning that game. And if either one of them doesn't show up, there's a big possibility they might end up losing.
And this is why this matchup is interesting, particularly interesting, because they kind of have similar play styles. They both go for simple plays, nothing too flashy, nothing too complex with a lot of smokes, flashes, molotovs. They basically play off of the structure of the map and trying to get a fast read on their opponent's setup and just exploit it with simple executes. You will see shox being the in-game leader of the team, but he's also going to be the one taking point, creating space for his team, and then they're just going to try and capitalize on it, which works for them pretty well, as Robin said, when they're on point individually. But the problem comes in when you're playing against a team like Fnatic, who's obviously incredibly skilled, so it's going to be harder to create those openings against them.
And again, when we picked our players of the game, normally like a no-brainer would be, oh, well, let's do shox and let's do, you know, olofmeister. But we changed it up this time. You've decided to go with flusha and Scream. Yeah, so the other partner in crime there for shox.
I feel that Scream, you know, they talk about his one tap, so he's obviously an incredible player aim-wise, and against Fnatic, you're definitely going to have a lot of aim battles because they're not going to try and, you know, shy away from that. As I just mentioned, they don't go for a lot of smoke exits. That's where you can't get aimed when you're smoked off, flashed off. It's much harder for you to get an aim battle. So if Scream is on point in this game, it's going to mean a lot for G2, in a sense that he is an incredible aimer, and you know, it might force Fnatic to fall back to a different playstyle, perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, if you compare to flusha is, you know, we talk about Fnatic, we talk about olofmeister being the best player in the world. Statistically, especially during majors, flusha is their best player on that team, and it just comes to show that no matter the game, no matter the tournament, he will always show up, and it doesn't really matter. The pressure will never get to him. On top of that, he, I think it's also in-game leaning now as well on top with Vugo since the departure of Pronax. But I think Vugo is doing more of it now. They were talking about a while back. I think maybe that has something to do with olofmeister being gone, but they put more focus now on actually Vugo calling and then just putting flusha back on that fragger role.
And also, this is kind of a contrast in playstyles between these two players. flusha is a player who is incredibly smart, utilizes positioning, grenades to get an advantage in aim duels and in aim battles. So I really like seeing him play, because it shows even if you don't, obviously he has good aim, but it's just that it's not his main weapon, and it shows how with positioning and good use of utility you can put yourself in advantageous positions.
So this guy's head-to-head record coming in for the last couple months, it's 4-1 in favor of G2. 3 of those matches on LAN, and that's all at the ESL Pro League, where they 2-1 was G2's score, 2-1 in the best of 3, and then they played twice for this league, and G2 took both of those as well. So last couple months again, but again, that roster is not necessarily this roster, so obviously got to asterisk that as well.
Exactly, and I just feel that shox has a pretty good idea of how to play against Fnatic. So it's not that they don't know, you know, they don't have a game plan coming into the game. It's just that whether they can execute it properly. Yeah. Because when playing against Fnatic, as we always like to say, first you need to be able to take the game to them. You need to be able to beat them and to make them respect you aim-wise, and then you can go into the more deeper aspects of the game.
Okay, let's get into the picks and bans. And again, folks, if you're not familiar with the system, basically we have 7 maps maps in our active pool. They will do a coin flip of the captains. The winning captain will decide if he wants the first ban or if he wants to defer it. Looks like Fnatic has got the first ban, and then they basically take turns, back and forth, back and forth. They will leave one last map, and that will be our tiebreaker map. So walk us through, Janko.
Yeah, so this is no surprise at all. Fnatic vetoing Nuke. Even I think in the old lineup, they didn't really play it that much when it was in the active duty pool, and G2 showed that they do like playing the map, that they practiced on it as well.
Yeah.
So Mirage, no surprise as well. It's a map that G2 doesn't really play. So now when we go to the pick stages is where it gets more interesting. I feel that what G2 would like to play against Fnatic here would probably be Cash, and Fnatic does go for Overpass, which is probably the second weakest map for G2. They'd like to avoid it if possible, and I haven't really seen Fnatic play it that much either, but this is the old Fnatic, just vetoing towards their opponent's weaknesses more than anything else.
Yeah, you can clearly see that, and that's why I was gonna. The thing that Fnatic has going for them, obviously, is their map pool. They are pretty much taking play every single map except for Nuke, which they've never played, and we saw yesterday with G2 playing Nuke. Sure, it was a little bit shaky, but at least they've played it, right? So Fnatic taking the safe route, just vetoing that off. And I was gonna say, for G2, I think their go-to pick is gonna be Dust2, which we see here. Issue here is that Fnatic is really good.
Great guess, Robin.
Thank you. Thank you. That's because you were talking so much. I was like, oh, it's going to be Dust 2. Yeah, so, but yeah, otherwise, it makes sense. The Overpass ban from Fnatic. This is the old Fnatic as you were talking about. It's like, well, we don't really feel confident on this map, so we're just going to veto it. And that's what happened with their stand-in. Now, instead, you know, you have olofmeister back. It's like, well, the thing is, we're not that great on this map either, but we know that you're worse. So we're going to pick it, and we're going to play it, and then we're just going to hope that we pretty much win. Same with us too.
There you go. All right, and we got obviously the bans happening for our very last map to be the tiebreaker. So there goes Train.
Yeah, definitely. Out of the 3 maps remaining, Fnatic is more comfortable playing Cash or Cobblestone, and they know that G2 also plays Train, so the ban makes complete sense. And now it's up to G2 to make the decision what they would prefer playing. I feel that Cash is a stronger map for them, so yeah, they go for the Cobblestone veto, and Cash will be our decider. So the thing with Fnatic and their map pool and everything is that it doesn't really matter what map they play, because their playstyle isn't dependent on having like executes on a certain map and set setups. They just play off of each other really well. They have a default setup, and then they work around it. They try to get map information, try to get information on what setup their opponent is having, and work around that. So seeing as how G2 doesn't really play Overpass that much, that would actually be a good map for them in theory, because that's where you can go for different setups on the CT side, the body system, so to speak. You go for map control, you try to clear an area of the map, then you can rotate if your opponent reacts to it, but I'm not really sure what to expect on Overpass. I feel that it can go either way.
Yeah, G2 very smart in picking Cash instead of Cobblestone. We saw there throughout this weekend that they have not been good on it. So just taking that, and again, they beat NIP on Cash as well, looking extremely strong, and it looks like they actually took some time and actually did some work on that map. But yeah, I think here, I mean, the first map's going to be Overpass, and then on top of that you have Dust2 a second, which for G2, I don't know, I would have probably preferred them actually go with a more of a gamble pick. But yeah, I think Fnatic's going to win here.
All right, thank you very much, gentlemen. That's going to do it for us. Let's throw it to James and DDK. The match has started. It's all yours.
We are going straight into the action here. We're going to have Fnatic starting on the CT side. So we'll get into our own thoughts a little bit later, because G2 are on the push at the moment. Dennis with some interesting wallbang attempts there with a mere USP. So here we go, G2 looking to impede on the action straight away. We've got olofmeister coming in for a really big push here, but he might be a bit late for the rotation. Frags coming in though, RpK to get the opening kill.
Yeah, that's a nice start there, but he's got Dennis working in. He's got 2 frags straight away. That's going to be really awesome now, because Fnatic have a lot of space and time to work with. The bomb only just went down. G2 haven't got the best positions here. They don't have time to fall back. They've got to make do with what they've got, and Scream's going to be doing just that, taking down olofmeister already. So 3 versus 3 as Fnatic wait for the perfect moment. The jump goes in, and SmithZz goes down. It's up to Scream and shox now here for the French side as they wait patiently, and pinpoint accuracy as Scream finds his connections, but still 2 players left here for Fnatic as Defuse is coming in. Can he get it? Oh, he's going for the hold! Not quite, but very close.
The precision incision there. Balls of steel down. to take the round for G2, and that was less than 1 second on the clock as well, so very nice stuff. It's always smart though, if you know roughly where the bomb is, get that knife going. It's going to have a reasonable hitbox there, so close but not quite for Fnatic. The swipes, very nice indeed. Just in time as well. So Fnatic going for the full spy here. We've got Dennis picking up the scouts. 4 pistols on the rest of the team. Dennis will be the only person lacking armor in this round. 2 scouts on the board here. I like the approach here from G2. 1 AK to clean things up should it be required. Scream can hold a long area with longer range with the AK. Then you've got the MAC-10s for the close range madness. Now, again, on Overpass, this area is very, very important for both teams to try and hold a short B position. It allows the Ts to do a lot more. It allows the CTs to put more people towards A if they can keep control of that towards the middle of the round. G2 with 1:10 on the clock here, so they've got lots of time to clear out any sneaky positions from these Fnatic players.
They're doing it well there. This is what you want to do. You want to just go up that A-long area. That's a nice connection there to Dennis. He's not going to get anything back himself, which is pretty unfortunate there, because every second that passes now, G2 getting closer and closer, closing that distance onto Dennis. Another missed shot there for Dennis, and he's not going to get much more opportunities here, I would think, as he does get some reinforcements. But again, G2 doing it well here. They are pushing up A-long, trying to force a response. They've got 2 players toilet side to catch any flanking players. And there is going to be one of those. We've got olofmeister creeping up by the fountain now. But will G2 be able to catch him, or will he get some damage in?
A problem for G2 is there's 30 seconds left, and they are still yet to push or kill a single player. KRIMZ finally going down, and now this might just work out here for G2. JW though got a CZ, and he can get multiple frags with it. That's a long reload though, and he will only get 1 kill. Team kill coming in though. Scream taking down Bodyy. Dennis with 10 HP, and this round should indeed be over. Not a good start there for Scream.
At least it was a headshot. He only shoots head, James. He only shoots for the head. So yeah, the 2-0, and what I really love to see there from G2 is that was really disciplined, and there was a lot of focus going into it. You know, a round like that, some teams get a little bit complacent, but G2, they weren't doing that here. They played it by the book, and Fnatic, they tried to play as optimally as they could. I mean, Dennis did get a few opportunities to get some tags in. I mean, all it takes is Dennis to get, hit one of those early shots, and you don't know exactly what can happen from that point, but he didn't. So G2 now moving in against full eco.
This looks like a fast play into the B bomb site. The running Molotov normally means a quick play, but G2 just taking it a little bit more carefully just in case there's a stack, and they're going to force the issue now. 1 man down here for the T side, but again, they're just up against USP, so they shouldn't be too worried despite losing 2 players. This should be okay, but you never know, especially with Fnatic and flusha in tow. Dennis always dangerous. Scream's being dinged to 5 HP now, so there are actually real problems here for G2.
Yeah, absolutely. It's possible that they might lose Scream, although if he plays correctly, he does have the space to be in a position where he's not going to have to face his opponents. He doesn't have to do that unless he wants to get the frags. But we've seen a lot of focus again for Scream in these positions where even if he wants to get all the kills and he can be a player like that, he's still going to make sure that he keeps his money alive. And so he's going to just fall back there, allow his teammates to do the damage, pick up the frags, and we're going to see flusha just backing away, seeing if he can get anything sneaky done here. Looks like it's not going to happen. shox is in there with the pistol, and that's going to be the round for G2. 3-0. A quick start here for the French side as they make their mark on Overpass, and we get the buy-in from Fnatic finally, but it's not going to, well, it could feature an AWP, and it will. Okay, so JW is going to pick up an AWP, but he's going to be sacrificing any Kevlar or grenades to go with it. So interesting spot for Fnatic because they have such a low amount of utility to work with.
Yeah, lack of grenades. I mean, we've seen a lot of aggression from olofmeister very early on in this round, so it looks like he's feeling it. We've got Dennis moving down the long area at the moment, but he's quite deep on his own. flusha was over towards toilets, but he's kind of in a middle position at the moment, so Dennis is somewhat isolated. He used to have Edouard down there for Na'Vi as well, and Na'Vi used to smoke off that area, which made things really weird for the T side. Sometimes they'd be deep where Dennis is, sometimes they wouldn't be anywhere near there at all. So it was a good way to waste time for the Ts, making them have to spend extra time clearing out areas. And again, the short B position hasn't really been taken by either team at the moment. You see shox asking questions of it, and olofmeister is peeking a little bit to see what's going on. So passive by both teams in that direction. Most of G2, well, all of G2 upper A actually at the moment, and there we go. Dennis is going to get taken down with no response here for the CT.
Yeah, I definitely respect what Dennis was trying to do there. He's You could hear so much going on towards the toilets and party areas, thinking, all right, if I find that perfect timing and I get the flank in, I'm going to be putting my team in a massive advantage here. And as you said, there was no support, and it's a big, big risk, but Fnatic are a team that can do that sort of stuff because they can rely on people like JW. But he's got to connect it because G2 are getting closer and closer, and they're definitely going for it at the moment. They have no proper contingency with nobody towards that B-bomb site. So here it is. It's going to be on flusha. He's close range, but he has the grenade up. body's going to take him down straight away. JW's in now with that AWP, but he can't get a single connection. This looks really bad right now for Fnatic. Another missed shot.
Bombs going down now, all the G2 players alive. Only shox is a bit tagged at the moment, and Fnatic are already abandoning ship. And I think JW, that last shot, I think he moved just before he fired it, which made his gun woefully inaccurate. And this is a really bad start here for Fnatic. I mean, I think this map selection is quite dangerous if G2 take the first one. And they're off to a very good start indeed. And again, with shox and Scream, they are really performing towards the upper end of their skill bracket, and that's not good for Fnatic, that's for sure.
Yeah, we saw already yesterday just quite what they can do on a map like Dust 2. So yeah, they definitely need to be answering back soon here, Fnatic. Stop that momentum. Now we've got, of course, a situation where they should survive with 3 players here, unless someone tries to kill in the console or something. So they're good to bring those 3 guns into the next round, which means they can force it up. Because with 3 players surviving, it's very easy to get, a drop for 2 of those 3 players who don't have anything, and then they can play out the round. So it's not the biggest loss in the world that they didn't get it right that last round. They did take some gambles. We had Dennis with that push towards A long, and I'm curious what Fnatic will go for here, because there is definitely a lot of space for them to go for aggression. Although G2 have shown that they're very, very good at positioning themselves early to the mid round to counter any aggression from the CTs. But here it is. It's Dennis with that FAMAS.
Fnatic never afraid to go for an aggressive stand versus an opponent. G2, this entire tournament, G2 have always had a good read on what to expect from their opponents. And you can see they have passive positions towards upper. shox taking control of short B. That's going to deny information despite shox leaving area. So it's going to be hard for Fnatic going forward. And the headshots coming in here from shox and Scream. Down to 3 players once again for Fnatic. But with 1:20 on the clock, they may have a hard time saving.
Yeah, it's a pretty rough situation for them. Let's see if they can get something done here. JW is going to be the man to try to do that with that AWP. It is the right tool for the job. But what can he find with it? We've got another smoke coming in that's going to deny him vision, and also it means that he's got that long-range weapon. People can get behind that smoke and close the distance without him easily realizing. That's also an issue for him now, as he looks for something, but he's going to back away. And as you say, they're already down 2 players. They needed some kind of equalizer before the push hits the bomb site, because all G2 need to do now is just play the numbers game. They know it. They're going to go towards the B bomb site, and it looks like actually Fnatic have either a good read on this, or they're deciding just to stack a site. And if that's the case, they're going to get lucky, because here comes G2.
Well, lucky or unlucky, down goes KRIMZ to SmithZz, and the charge is going to come in. But again, it might be a case of if they can stop the bomb from going down. That's a very fast trade, though, leaving flusha alone with a mere UMP. So much for him to do. How's he going to avoid getting traded in the situation? bodyy comes in for the final frag. AWP if they want it there as well for SmithZz, and indeed RpK will collect that. G2 off to a roaring start here. Now that's going to put Fnatic in a difficult position. They could go for a buy here, but it would be distinctly lacking in utility. So some money will be spent, but it's going to be a bit of a save for the following round here for the Swedish side. 5-0, they'll be at maximum loss bonus, which is a plus, so they'll have big utility going into the next round. Then I just want to pay attention. G2 have a renewed focus there. You see how patient they are once they're up at 5 versus 3. They're not going to overextend, take any unnecessary risks. They're being super, super patient. And I was talking with some of the other casters last night. There was a round where one team, I think it was on train, waited until there were 30 seconds left for somebody to peek them with an AWP to get a frag there and start charging. I want to say it was G2, I could be mistaken there, but they are playing very well at the moment. The decision making is really strong with the French side at present. We'll see if it continues.
Yeah, that was something I wanted to mention as well. The patience, that's really working out well for G2. And another thing as well about that sort of play is that can be really frustrating to play against if you're the team that's behind, because you're waiting for them to make a mistake. But if they never drop their guard, if they're always so patient and focused, it's very hard to find that opening that you need to take advantage of. And another good anti-eco strategy. You can see that G2 can just keep their backs all together against this long wall, use those ranges, and trade effectively with the numbers. But getting tagged down here, this is what should have happened in the previous instance of this, where Dennis had that scout. And you can see the impact it's having now. G2 kind of having to go towards toilets now. They want the closer engagements. And can they get close to the bomb site? That's the question. Already a lot of damage done. This could go very badly for G2 if they're not careful. First kill made by bodyy, though. More entries to find. 2 players left on the bomb site. The grenades will do good work in removing these players. But what damage can they get in the process? It looks like they can't get enough. Although JW, what is this? Finds himself 2 quick headshots. And that's something, but that could have gone a lot worse for G2, to be honest.
Yeah, and that was not even on the 2 players who had been tagged by the wow. What did I say about that? That's a good illustration, I guess. That one wasn't even the 2 players who were tagged by the scout there, so that could have been much worse for G2. Good recovery considering the damage Dennis did early on, and great play by Dennis to get 1 tag up towards long and then just completely run away, not go back to the well one too many times. So Fnatic's big buy, their next big buy has come in, double orbs coming out now. A distinct difference, the aggression hasn't paid off. You can see Dennis isn't deep towards long this time, indeed it's been abandoned for the time being. Let's see how they use these orbs. See JW over towards the B bomb site. Olofmeister is going to be the second AWPer as well. He was playing B previously, but now he's moved over towards the toilet. So a complete change in formation here for Fnatic.
Yeah, and Scream actually hasn't died yet. He's got 14k in the bank. There's so much money on G2. They've been doing very, very well in these anti-eco type rounds in saving money. It's a lot of work for Fnatic to accomplish, and they need to do it now with this double orb setup. Otherwise, it's going to get even more out of hand. So let's see what they can do, and let's see if Scream can keep his streak alive. And he is going to be following shox, the dynamic duo of shox and Scream. JW's on the angle. There it is. Scream goes down. So, well, there's the first step. Can JW survive this, though? He's under a lot of fire at the moment. Able to smoke himself off, just waiting patiently, losing his teammates to bait. But it's RpK with both frags, cleaning up the bomb site. He's not even done just yet. Dennis to fall as well. flusha and olofmeister on that retake now, but it's going to be a tough one.
Yeah, we've got smoke after smoke coming in. Olofmeister, though, they're serving themselves up. They're trying to put themselves in a trade situation. No trade necessary. RpK will get the frag. flusha now. Last man standing for his team versus 3. Not going to be easy. Too many angles to cover. 7-0 for G2. This is a Fnatic side who have been 16-0ing teams for fun. And we might have to start asking that question if G2 can make it to double figures before Fnatic get around on the board. But for now, Fnatic have 3 to 4k in the bank, so a difficult situation once again.
Yeah, and Fnatic, they agree. They're taking a tactical timeout. They've got to figure out how to handle this situation. G2, they're looking so strong right now, and I think that's the thing that they brought it up on the desk, saying that the style of G2, it often does rely so heavily upon players like the shox and Scream, because they are the hard hitters, the true hard hitters of the team. Obviously, you have very respectable and skilled players in the likes of RpK, SmithZz, and bodyy, but still, it's usually about shox and Scream being able to open up the map against the best players in the world, and so far they've been able to accomplish that. But not only that, we're seeing that in the last couple of weeks to kind of create more consistency. As you mentioned, there's more patience on G2, there's more discipline, they've got better anti-ecos, these guys are looking better and better, so Fnatic, they're in real trouble here.
They're in a lot of trouble. But again, 7-0, there's not going to be a full buy coming in this particular round, so G2 are very likely to make it to 8. But again, it's a terrible start for Fnatic, but there's definitely lots of room for recovery, but it needs to happen fast. If they can't get at least 5 rounds on their CT side, then they're going to be up the creek with no paddle to be seen, Dan.
Yeah, it's really tough decision-making wise as well, because again, we talked about this earlier, if you're playing against a really patient team who's willing to wait and willing to have very good trade situations all the time, it can be hard to find the opening aggressively, especially as a CT side, because G2 get all of the ability to decide, where the action is going to be on the map by, where they dictate, which, with the attack will go either towards the B bomb site or the A spot site. Are they going to try to work on connector control, sewers control? They can make that decision. Fnatic have to react as the CT side, as the defensive side. They can try to take the aggression to G2, but again, so far G2 have been very, very good at covering themselves in that way. So it's probably going to be more of a setup-based sort of situation for Fnatic when they're making a decision here, as well as, do they take away sewers? That's something they haven't focused on too much just yet in the future rounds. So we'll have to see how it works out, how the map will be controlled by Fnatic in that 9th round, but for now it's going to be the half buy, as you mentioned.
Olofmeister doesn't have any kills just yet. And if he's not showing up, then Fnatic are definitely going to have problems, as evidenced by the current score. Fnatic opting for aggression now with their CZ, and shox might be in trouble because he could get pincered here, but that makes RpK's position really important. When you have T's in the short B position, you have to have somebody in connector so they don't get flanked by the CTs, which is surely going to happen. Surely they're going to start pushing the door here, and RpK will have to cover for his team. Indeed, there it is, just waiting for the angle, and the flusha gets taken down. It's a very important setup to have, so make sure you're aware of that at home as well. If you're playing pugs and so on, you have to have someone in that connector position, just holding an angle on the door. Otherwise, your teammates are going to get wrecked.
It's actually really cool as well, because a lot of teams do like to put people towards connector on rounds like this with half buys, with the pistols. It's a good close range location. And a lot of teams will just try to like throw in grenades and try to push it close range with the rifles. But then you've got that setup where shox is really baiting the guys out towards the sewers from that area. So it's a really smart way to handle that situation from G2. I really like that. And now, you see again, they're taking the bomb up A-long. Again, A-long is always going to be one of the best ways to approach an anti-eco. But that said, Dennis is in with a quick frag now, and now the AK's been stolen away, and he's got some Kevlar too, so round's not done just yet, but shox is really working on it. 2 players left now for Fnatic. Will Olof be able to get his first kill?
He's looking for it. He's got some targets to find, but not hitting much at the moment. And he will get taken down by none other than Screamers. Headshot, of course. Dennis now last man standing. May want to hold on to his AK if he can. He's got Kevlar as well. I mean, he'll be good for a full buy in the next round, but an AK is always better than an M4. That connector position that RpK was in, it's really very, very dangerous to push that, even when you have teammates in tow when the CTs are on an eco. Because those guns can be super dangerous. Those close quarters play into the advantages of those pistols. But either way, 8-0 here for G2. Past the halfway mark in the first half. And we'll see if olofmeister can get his first kill as Fnatic come back on the buy. They've tried aggression, didn't work. They've tried double AWPs, didn't work. They've gone back to the single AWP now. olofmeister going to bounce that smoke off the train. Oh no, he's failed it! He's messed it up! You have to wonder if that's a weakness that G2 will try and exploit, and indeed, maybe Fnatic think that they're going to be safe over there, but no, it's failed, and G2 are going to capitalize on that immediately.
Yeah, we got a lot of players coming in quickly though for Fnatic. Let's see if they can post a good defense. The bomb needs to go down, and KRIMZ is going to stop that. Bomb hits the ground now as the trades come in. JW is getting a good work here as well with the AWP. That Scream out of the round, but there is still French players fighting back here, and it's looking quite good for G2 at this point in time. They can reclaim the bomb at this spot, as Fnatic now trying to get in position. It's JW. He could be the one to save the day. Oh, there's the first shot, gonna miss that one. But that's a lot of presence that he's providing. They're gonna have to be very careful to avoid him. And that's space for flusha to use. And there it is, oh, but Smith is on it. And it's flusha down, and now it's all about JW. Can he get the shot? There's the first one, the bomb down again. 1 versus 1 now against RpK, and JW going for the sneaky play. He's going all the way around. This is crazy.
The problem is he can be heard from this position, but it seems that he knows that, Dan, and he's going to go for the fake. So we'll see what RpK chooses to do. He needs to collect the bomb, and maybe he's going to go for the hard read towards A because of the running. Yes, he is indeed, but the no-scope doesn't need the no-scope. Very smartly done by JW.
Wow.
Great game sense, spatial awareness, Dan. Very important there, because of course you can hear that running coming in. JW baits RpK, he takes the bait, and Fnatic get their first round on the board.
That's such an awesome clutch there from JW, my God. It's so cool as well, because you see, I think it's very easy to be, to look at JW almost in some senses a bit one-dimensional. This guy's just a flashy guy with the AWP, does crazy aggressive stuff, but he's a smart kid as well. Very smart guy. Let's see if Fnatic can use that round and turn it into more, convert it into more. There's a lot of money in the bank here for G2. Everybody is still towards $7 to $10K, so they're really healthy on the money. It's a lot that Fnatic needs to do to break them. They got a nice little aggressive setup here, but again, shox pushing sewers, taking down olofmeister, and creating yet more options to work with here for the G2 side. And Scream, look how patient he is. This is exactly what we were talking about.
If Fnatic lose this round, they're going to have no money. Their loss bonus is going to be minimum, and we might see a 14-1 half. That is very possible. And again, they're going for the aggression with Dennis, but G2, finally the patience has run out. They're starting to move away. Body gets taken down from the back screen here. He's going to get dinked, and he's unable to finish Dennis off. Nice recovery by Fnatic, but it's a 3 versus 3, and there's still lots of time here for G2.
Yeah, there's a lot to be done here for Fnatic because they're sort of out of position mostly. This is a big opportunity for GT. KRIMZ needs to, he's got a hard choice to make. Does he try to delay the pawn a little bit, help his teammates get in position, or does he use the element of surprise here to get a nice little attack going with the oncoming teammate, which is going to be Dennis. Dennis is present now, so they're ready to go for the push. Can G2 defend? RpK in a very sneaky position. It's quite hard to deal with this one. He can get the headshot angles. Nice trade coming in, but what is this? Oh no, it's shox coming in from the back. That is JW down, and now it's up to KRIMZ with the bomb ticking away now. There's not much time to go for the defuse, and SmithZz ready and waiting. 9-1, Fnatic resets. Oh, it's bad, James. It's really bad. $1,400 on JW. That sucks.
Yeah, this is worst case scenario for Fnatic, and olofmeister still hasn't got any kills just yet. I don't want to focus on that too much, but I mean, he seems to be just missing the mark. With some of the duels he's taken, his cross has not even been on the player, so I'm not sure if he just needs to get the derp out then. We will find out as this best of 3 continues. 9-1, and Fnatic have been completely ruined, going for the force buy once again. And it's a similar setup here from G2 without the B push though. Speaking of B pushes, we have a 2-man short B push from the CTs here. But it's very important to note that G2 have taken a slightly different approach with their anti-eco on this occasion, anti-eco, anti-force buy. You can see shox with a more passive position, maybe having a read that they're going to try and come for him based on what he did last time. So again, he's changing things up. You often see CTs changing up their defense, but in this sense, G2 are technically on the defense as well.
Absolutely, and speaking of defense, it's Dennis versus 3 basically in this position, using the rock. Will the rock be his best friend? Looks like it will not be. SmithZz with a frag, and that could have been an important engagement for Dennis to get a bit of damage in, but he does nothing. And now shox with his 1 versus 1 finds KRIMZ. KRIMZ is going to win it. That's a nice little frag there, because shox, of course, was alone, meaning that the weapon can be easily picked up and tossed over to JW. So there's something to work with in this round now for the Fnatic side. But the problem is that G2 now found their way onto the bomb site. They got players all over the place like RpK, ready to deal with the rotation. You're looking good here for G2. Well, they have another somewhat clean anti-eco kind of round.
Plant finally coming down with 30 seconds on the clock. JW trying to do what he can, but he's not going to be able to find the planter there. 2 plays left now for Fnatic, and this looks somewhat unlikely. JW has a decision to make. He's got full armor and the AK. I think the safe had to try and come in there. At this point, there's no point in him even spraying through the smoke. G2 have far too much money for him to have an economical impact. He needs to run away there and save the weapon. Yep. Unable to do so, and Fnatic are going to be on an eco. $2,000 per person on round 12.
Yeah, that's definitely, it could be a little bit of a tell as to their mentality when you see a decision made like that JW just wants to get some damage and he just wants to be able to play some Counter-Strike, because that's probably how it feels for Fnatic and for JW at this point, that they're not, G2 are not already even allowing them in the game. So we're going to have a bit of aggression coming in. SmithZz is going to easily deflect the first bit of aggression, which was Dennis sent to the bench, and there are more to follow. So this should be somewhat of a formality here. It should be over somewhat quickly, as Fnatic just want to get this round over with so they can get the guns out and have a real chance to get back in this one. But this is going to mean that G2 already are going to be going to 11 rounds, which is crazy. On Overpass, on the T side, I mean, I know that their T sides are fantastic, but would never have expected this.
Yeah, you need more than 1 round. And that's another opportunity lost for olofmeister to make his way onto the scoreboard. 11-1. And finally, Fnatic can come back on the buy as their loss bonus continues to build back once again. And they are not going to be able to afford an AWP, I do not believe. No, they're not. Just 5 rifles on the side now. But who knows? Nothing else has really worked for them so far. 1 AWP hasn't worked, 2 AWPs hasn't worked, maybe 5 rifles will. We will see. They're quite lacking on the grenades as well, which is a problem because they started off trying to be aggressive. That hasn't worked either. Literally nothing's working for them against G2.
Yeah, it's nuts. G2 are just so hot at the moment individually across the board, and we've got once again Dennis with the usual shenanigans, but his patience is perhaps running out at this point with so many rounds against them. And this is where, you know, G2 can really start to abuse that desperation that Fnatic might be feeling. And also the fact that they have such low utility, there is a lot of incentive for them to try to get something done early into the round.
olofmeister is back on the B bomb site again. We've seen him playing B, we've seen him playing toilets, back over towards B. Passive towards Graffiti earlier, you can see him moving towards the water now. But again, there's no control over the short B position. JW though is having some aggressive peeks towards Connector. But again, it's going to come down to the frags as the clock continues to tick. Minute on the clock here for G2, and they still haven't really gone for any kind of map control. Just starting to get their initial smokes in now. You can see RpK still making a nuisance of himself. JW going for a cheeky peek there with the pistol throw, and it's going to work out for him.
All right, so 45 seconds left. And G2, you know, I think they really have been of this mindset. Okay, maybe we can really, again, abuse the fact that Fnatic might do something a bit desperate here. And Fnatic haven't done that, which is really good for them. You know, showing that their mindset is strong and resilient. And they're up a man now. And there's 30 seconds. And G2 don't really have much time to go and slowly clearing positions. They have to rush it. And this rushed attempt is going to be meeting flusha. And flusha is on point. And this is looking great now for the Swedish side as we have Scream and shox, the dynamic duo left alive. But they have to plummet within 15 seconds. Surely there is not enough time for this. There are so many bodies to go through. Olofmeister's there, the next player to deal with Scream. Oh, he's going to fight Olofmeister, but there's surely not enough time. He cannot win the round at this point, but he can definitely make this hurt for Fnatic. They'll pick up a round, and Olofmeister will get his first frag in this half. That's a bit of a strange situation, isn't it? Olofmeister making his first frag after 14 rounds.
Yeah. So that was, I think, poor time management there from G2. The bomb gets dropped and everything falls apart. But there was big damage done to the Fnatic side. G2 will have a far superior buy in this round. And there's no warp here for the Swedish team. Just 2 rounds on the board as we move into the last 2 of the first half. Pop Flash coming in through that smoke. So it's going to be a much faster play from G2, completely changing the pace of the game here. Who's it going to be in favor of, though? Flushes down to the UMP again. A lack of grenades, so this might even work out for Fnatic.
Yeah, complete change of play. Scream straight away in there, gets taken down though. Trace coming in and the rotation has to be quick. JW holding it down on the bomb side. Will he buy enough time for his teammates? Looks like he'll finally be eliminated, and looks like the positioning of the remaining players of Fnatic is just too appalling to get in there. So this should be a free plot. KRIMZ is left in a 1 versus 2 right now to give Fnatic that 3rd round that they so desperately need. And G2, who conversely in this round have loads of time to play with because they've played it so fast, they're going to switch it up and make it really difficult for KRIMZ.
Yeah, KRIMZ waiting perhaps for the plant to come in so he can try and get himself a 1 versus 1, but the plant is coming in elsewhere. And now the game's been given away. But the question is one person holding on the A site? That's what he's wondering. But he doesn't have time. He has got a kit. Smith's playing a blind spot. There is a crossfire situation now. Oh dear, the gun's giving him away. So KRIMZ gets a 1 versus 1 now, whereas RpK could be in a short position. That is a question. Could be over towards Monster, could be on the left. RpK in an unlikely position. Very smart reaction there to Smith's going down.
Yeah, absolutely took KRIMZ off guard, and RpK is actually up there with 18 frags at the moment. 18 for 7 is RpK, so he's really firing off, and shox as well, 17 for 5. You know, Scream's been having brilliant entry frags, but when RpK is hitting like that, it is pretty tough to deal with. And you can see how RpK does it right there, and now it's 12-2, and it is an awful buy here for Fnatic, who just simply don't have any bank to work with. SmithZz, the Scout, some Kevlar, and a handful of grenades. Can they get it done with the rush down? JW will lead the charge, and it looks like there's opportunities to be had here, but now G2 know what's going on.
Yeah, G2 with no map control, but they do have control of all the expensive weapons at the moment. And they're coming out in the numbers, getting the frags, all headshots, of course. bodyy trying to hold, trying to contain the players over towards Connector. And there are 2 in there. That Molotov is going to be coming in a little bit too slow here. Dennis finding the headshot, but is it a consolation frag at this point? shox taking him down to 6 HP, and he's hunting for that frag. Indeed, he will get it. So 4 versus 2, but look at all the damage taken by G2. 2 CZs. Fnatic have a very good chance at winning this round. If they can position well and get frags in quickly, and now olofmeister is going to pick up an AK. This is a dangerous round for G2.
It really is, and olofmeister, he's not been having the best half ever, but he's definitely going to give this a strong chance at the moment with that AK. They don't have that kit indeed, so they really need to speed things up, and RpK is going to get all the information. That's really, really painful for olofmeister. He knows that someone could be playing around this area, but he's going to have his back turned to RpK, and perhaps now the chances in this round for Fnatic are going to drop completely. His flusha is left with 23 health, and as he said, he's going to go and give it his best, but there's just nothing to be done. 13-2 first half, G2 incredibly dominant. Is there a comeback to be made here with only 2 rounds in the second half for Fnatic?
These are the scores you used to see on the CT side when the map was still being figured out by the teams. 13-2 T half from G2, not the start Fnatic were expecting, maybe not the start people were hoping for, as I think a lot of people want to see that Luminosity Fnatic final, but maybe G2 will throw a spanner in the works here. Fnatic could get straight bodied in the second half. I mean, they have to win the pistol.
They won 2 rounds, right? And one of the rounds that they won, it was by timeout. It's more or less because of G2's mistake of playing it so slow, and at the end, Scream basically killed everyone anyway. So even of the 2 rounds they won, they only really won 1 of them. So it's just an awful situation. There's just no sugarcoating it. But with the pistol round, perhaps hope can be found.
So early aggression here from the G2 side, but they're starting to move back. Again, RpK in control of short B, but SmithZz has been taken down, and Fnatic looking to charge. Safety in numbers, looking to overwhelm this A side here. Scream has the other idea, though. Finding the headshots, bomb goes down as well. That's going to slow things down. Running out of bullets, though, and olofmeister will punish. 3 versus 3 shox, positioning to allow his teammates to run distraction, but Fnatic, expecting a rotation, will rotate themselves.
Yeah, just going to make things a little bit more difficult here for G2, force them to have to rotate into this one, and bodyy, that is a pretty important frag right there, finding it with the P2000, and maybe that is all the damage that's necessary. But KRIMZ, here he goes. Oh wow, shox so fast. And now it's down to Olof. This could be redemption here. Here he goes, 1 versus 3. It's pretty hard with so many people facing. He's going to try to isolate the players there as he possibly can, but it's not going to pay off in the end. Too many. And the round goes to G2. 14-2. This is a train wreck, James, but I can't look away.
It is indeed. Close to the end of the first map here for Fnatic, but not over the line just yet are G2. Presumably the force buys coming up from Fnatic, indeed it is. They can't afford to wait for AKs. They've got to go now. Although they're going to buy some AKs, well, an AK. They're going to buy what they can. 1 AK, 1 Galil, and 3 pistols coming out here for the T side. flusha going to be rocking the AK, which I think was dropped by KRIMZ, if I'm not mistaken. So let's see, what is the plan with this smoke? Haven't seen one from that position before. Okay, standard one. Can be thrown from pretty much anywhere. This is a very open skybox on this map. So, G2 playing passive, playing numbers over towards the A site. Seems they're ready to retake on B, should it be required. Just 1 player over there for the most part. Fnatic slowly taking map control, making sure they don't fall into any traps.
And G2 seem to be guessing pretty well at the moment. Of course, the situation here is that it's always going to be easier to retake B, and so G2 are going to have that kind of approach. RpK is just sitting there so he can watch what happens. He can get the tell of if the other grenades coming in, other players rushing in, how many are there going to be, is the bomb there, and so on, and then his team can react accordingly, and they can go for the retake. It's very hard actually to hold the B bomb site from on top of the actual site. Usually as a tease you want to fall back into positions further away, like into sewers and monster and so on, and that's why it's easier for the CTs. And here we go. Actually, RpK, he's going to go over the smoke. This guy is pretty crazy. Feeling the confidence right now. Just going to pan out wonderfully. RpK with 2 frags, but we get a return here. Fnatic able to get the bomb down, create some space. And they can't quite escape to safety all that much, though. olofmeister will be taken down in the effort. KRIMZ will spot them as they try to go for the boost. Oh, he can't get it, though, and it's going to be 2 players there for G2. They'll get the defuse, and in the end, it's all going to work out for G2. It's not quite going to be that 16-1, but it's going to be very close, it would seem.
Game point for G2. Disaster strikes here for Fnatic. Very surprising score so far indeed, but again, Fnatic have one more chance, one last chance here. They need 13 rounds in a row, Dan. Not a small task.
No, and then it's overtime if they even get that. So, well, they're going to be giving it their all. They have the jumble cell buy. So 2 Tech 9s, Galil, UMP, and an AK-47. And Dennis, who has the AK, doesn't even have any Kevlar. He's running around naked.
Well then, 15-2. Not a great start. flusha going down straight away. Got UMPs out once again. Fnatic have to wonder if the heads are still in this game. JW just charging non-stop here, and Scream's going to find the headshot. What else would he find? 3 plays left for Fnatic. RpK holding an off angle, but olofmeister maybe saw a bit of a shoulder there. Bodyy will respond though and keep control of the short B position. The final 2 Fnatic players out of position right now. Dennis takes down Scream, but gives away the position of the bomb.
Alright, so lots of time left here for Fnatic to make decisions, and Bodyy is towards SmithZz there for G2. That's a really important position. Now he's going to be in the spot, one of the 2 players, and that's a really big tell here. And there is another one, it's shox. He's going to be catching one of these 2 players with a nade in his hand. He can't get the frag though. So Fnatic still have the opportunity to switch up their decision. They're not committed either which way at the moment. And SmithZz is just waiting patiently, trusting shox to be able to hold here, trusting that if it is going to be B, that he won't need help initially. So SmithZz doesn't get caught out of position, he can just sit still. And shox is looking towards Monster. It's as if he knows he can read the game so well. And now it's just down to olofmeister for Fnatic to stop them from going down. He's going to get the kill here, steal away the bomb again. 20 seconds to plant. And will SmithZz guess right? Looks like he's in SmithZz at the moment, so he's got a very, very good position. olofmeister with no help to work with. SmithZz is on top of things. 16-2. What a result there for G2 in map 1. Who could have predicted this? I have no idea.
Yeah, this is not a scoreline. I wasn't sure which way this map would go, actually. Overpass between these 2 teams. But 16-2, not something that anybody could expect here. So there's a very dominating performance coming in from G2 to kick things off here. Going into Dust 2 as well. That's a very dangerous map. Again, I always say it, shox is very, very at home on that map. And G2, we saw them perform on Dust 2 early in the tournament, and then it looks absolutely savage on that. They were always in the numbers when they were up against CT, so I think Fnatic are going to have a hard time on that map as well, potentially.
Yeah, I mean, G2, everything's been working for them this tournament, all the work that they've been putting in. I mean, you could talk about talking about Scream yesterday. He was hitting his shots, but he was saying, you know what, it's about the team communication. Our communication's really on point. We're playing really well together, and we can see that. For Fnatic, they've got to go back and work out how the hell do they come back from that kind of defeat.
Indeed they do. They've got a few minutes to gather their thoughts and get their heads back into the game. We will see you for Dust 2 after the break.
Do you play Counter-Strike?